Well, good afternoon. I want to thank everybody for coming this afternoon. And I particularly want to thank my colleague, City Council Member David Alvarez, who represents this district. I want to thank our San Diego Fire Rescue Chief, Javier Menar. I want to thank Pete Flores, who's the Director of Field Operations in San Diego for the U.S. Customs and Border Protection, and Michael Simonson with Rural Metro, the city's contracted ambulance provider. We're all here today with some exciting news. As you may recall, the city recently negotiated a one-year extension of its ambulance contract with Rural Metro. And one of the key changes in that new contract was the addition of a new ambulance unit for the city's South Bay neighborhoods. And the city and Rural Metro agreed that the extra ambulance was absolutely imperative to improve our emergency response times. And today we are happy to report that even in this short period that we have seen a huge improvement. For the month of May, the average ambulance response time in our border neighborhoods was 7 minutes and 6 seconds. And that is 61 seconds faster than the same month 1 year ago. And so let me repeat that. On average, our ambulances are getting to the scene of emergencies a full minute faster due to this new ambulance unit. And why is that so important? I think it's obviously because every second that we save can mean the difference between life or death. We took a look at the ambulance service provider throughout the city to see where we could do better. And what we found was that the southernmost neighborhoods have consistently been a hard area for the city to provide the adequate service that it deserves. And this part of San Diego certainly is not contiguous with the rest of the city, and the distance to area hospitals is greater. But just because you live in San Ysidro does not mean that you do not deserve the same level of service as in our city's northern neighborhoods. So the solution was very clear, which was to add an additional and fourth ambulance unit specifically for our border neighborhoods. And it may seem like a small change, but as the first month has shown us, it can make a world of difference. This is a big step toward improving the quality of life for all of our South Bay neighbors. As I said before, no matter where you live in San Diego, you deserve to be safe. This contract makes sure that every neighborhood gets the emergency response that it deserves. It's the right thing to do. It's the fair thing to do. It's how we create a unified city and one San Diego. I want to thank Rural Metro for putting this new ambulance into action just days after the city approved this new contract extension. It's a testament to your commitment to serving San Diego as you have done for so many years. Now I'm going to turn it over to some of our other speakers and begin with our City Council member for this area, my colleague, City Council Member David Alvarez. David?
Are you introducing the rest?
Yeah.
Thank you, Mayor Faulconer, and thank you all for being here. As you probably witnessed from your drive down here, most of you are probably in the North Kearny Mesa area, it takes a while to get down here. And so that's why this ambulance is so important. As the mayor said, sometimes people need to be transported to some of our hospitals, which are quite a bit far from here. And so to be able to have better response is just way better for our community. It's a long time coming for the neighborhoods here in the South Bay. I've been consistent in my position to say that all neighborhoods in San Diego should have equal access to public safety. For some time now, the 12-minute standard level 1 emergencies has not been met in the southern portions of the city of San Diego, in Otay and in San Ysidro and in Nestor, and also along the border here. We know that calls have increased each year for the area near our border crossing and the neighborhoods that surround this area. Obviously, we have more work to do, but we have taken a big step forward. When we have more calls for service, we need to make sure that we are providing public safety employees with the tools and the personnel that they need to respond in the most effective way possible. By placing this 12-hour unit here, we are addressing a very big problem very, very easily, giving our staff the resources that they need to ensure that residents in the neighborhoods here have the same level of service that the rest of the city has. I'm committed to making sure that our residents have a high level of service, and I am also committed to potentially adding another unit if that's needed in the future once we see the data coming through. We've transported 69 patients, is what I'm told, to area hospitals from the border during May, the month of May. These are 69 transports that other ambulance units would have had to come down to transport. Now we have a dedicated transport unit here. The average response time, as stated by the mayor, is down by a minute. That is the difference between life and death. I want to thank the mayor. I want to thank Chief Maynard. U.S. Customs and Border Protection, let's remember that a lot of the calls that originate here take them away from the work that they do. They're busy enough trying to work at our border to allow the safe entry into our country. And so this helps them as well. And I want to thank them for their partnership and thank all of you for being here and being part of this announcement and letting the people know that we're increasing services for the people of South San Diego. Thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, David. Thank you, David, and thank you for your continued leadership on this issue. Now I'd to interview somebody who knows more than anything about the importance of emergency response times and service, our Fire Rescue Chief, Javier Maynard. Chief?
Well, thank you, Mayor Faulconer. I'm honored to be here today to highlight the immediate improvement in response times that's been achieved here with the addition of this ambulance unit to our South Bay communities. You know, I've often remarked that in our business, minutes and seconds do count and make the difference between a successful outcome to a situation and one that perhaps is not as successful. For example, in the case of sudden cardiac arrest, for each minute that passes by, your chances of survival diminish by 7 to 10% if you're not provided CPR and defibrillation services. Since 1997, Rural Metro has served as our partner here in the city, providing medical transports to provide exceptional level of medical care to all of the citizens of our community. While we always strive on both sides, fire rescue and our provider, to achieve a good ambulance response times and fire engine response times, there are some challenges, and some of the for this area were noted by the mayor. It's not contiguous to the rest of the city, and there are some long transport times. That makes it difficult when there are multiple incidents in these communities in the South Bay to keep an ambulance here and to return the ambulance after they conducted those long transport. So I'd just like to commend Rural Metro for their response to the challenges that the geography brings and for their immediate commitment to improving response times here in what had previously been an underserved community. I'd also like to add my thanks to Customs and Border Protection for allowing us use of the port facility here to both stage the ambulance and provide a break area and comfort area for the crews who will be staffing that ambulance. I couldn't be more appreciative that they made that possible for us. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Chief. Thank you, Chief. And next up, I'd like to introduce Pete Flores, who's the Director of Field Operations in San Diego for the U.S. Customs and Border Protection, and obviously you've heard a key partner in this successful effort. Mr. Flores?
Well, good afternoon. Partnership obviously is an important part of what we do every day here at the border in order for border security and the facilitation of legitimate trade and travel. We coordinate with local, state, and federal governments on both sides of the border in order to help us become more effective and efficient at what we do and come away with innovative processes that help what we do at the border every day. This piece here, as far as the partnership goes, and what we're able to do to provide a service where it's needed to those travelers coming through our ports of entry who are in need of some type of medical service or having some sort of medical emergency is a key piece to us to be able to become more effective at what we do and help the community as we go about processing at our ports of entry. San Ysidro is the busiest port of entry we have in Customs and Border Protection. On a daily basis, we have about 80,000 travelers coming through this port at any given day. When you have that amount of travelers coming through our ports of entry, we're going to have a need for some sort of medical emergency or some sort of medical services being provided to the travelers coming in. We have officers that are trained to be first responders at our ports of entry, and that's a good measure to help in that given situation for an immediate response. But the partnership here, as far as being able to get additional medical staff here and then the transportation to the hospital for those cases that need to be transported to area hospitals, is an important aspect. I'd like to thank the partnership here, Mayor, Councilman, Fire Chief, Rural Metro. I'd like to thank them all for their continued partnership in working with us and helping the border become more efficient and effective at what we do. So thank you.
Last up, I'd like to introduce Michael Simonson from Rural Metro.
Well, I think the word of the day is partnership, and that truly is what we have here today. Rural Metro has been the city's 911 paramedic ambulance transportation provider since 1997, and in all that time, we've enjoyed a terrific partnership with the city of San Diego, with the elected officials, but no more do we enjoy that than today. And so I just wanted to personally thank Mayor Faulconer, Councilmember Alvarez, the fire chief, Customs and Border Protection, and everybody else that worked together to get this unit down here. It was certainly needed over the past 7 years. The calls for service at the San Ysidro Port of Entry as well as the Otay Port of Entry have risen steadily. This, as was stated just this last month, this unit right here, Medic 720, transported 69 patients to area hospitals. And before, if that unit hadn't been here, that means that other Rural Metro ambulances, both in the South Bay and possibly from other parts of the city, would have had to do those transports. And so thus, having this here allows those other units to be free for those other emergencies. So again, thank you, and I'll leave it at that.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you again. This is great news. It shows you what happens when you work together. What's most importantly is to provide results for San Diegans, and particularly when we're able to help those emergency response times, which absolutely make the difference and can make the difference between life and death. Thank you, everybody, for all of your help. We'd be happy to answer any questions one-on-one. Thank you.
Well,
Sure, go ahead,
Mike
Chair.
mentioned that having this ambulance here frees up other ambulances. So do we know what the impact of the response time is for other parts of the city because they don't have to come down here?
I'll let the chief answer that question.
Rory, that's a good question. We do monitor response time compliance throughout the city. There are 4 zones in which we monitor that. So we're going to be taking a close look at that. One of the commitments Rural Metro made was to not have the other communities suffer by adding a resource here. This should be do nothing but improving without taking away from the other communities. We do not yet have the numbers. The staff member who records that was on a well-deserved trip to Italy, so now that she's back, we're going to keep her very, very busy crunching those numbers.
Chief, where does 7 minutes 6 seconds rank compared to other communities?
Well, I don't have that statistic to share with you, but I would share this. The contractual requirement is that the ambulance arrive within 12 minutes 90% of the time. So that's significantly below the contractual requirement that Rural Metro operates under, and really all ambulance providers operate under.
Is that throughout the city, Chief?
That is throughout the city, 90%, 12 minutes or less.
Kevin, or I don't know, do we have a cost for all this for the service?
I don't recall. This was a subject of negotiations for this 1-year contract extension. It was very clear from our mayor and city council that they wanted some terms of the contract removed and that might have an impact on response time compliance. So to achieve that kind of heightened scrutiny, to only add 1 unit down here for 12 hours, we think was a significant improvement to the city. I want to say it was on the order of less than 200,000. Please don't quote me. I'd have to go back and look at that.
Just use that sound bite.
Okay.
And I would just add that it wasn't about the cost; it was about the service, and that is something that Councilmember Alvarez and I were talking about. This is long overdue, and we've seen the excellent results already. And to achieve that just in the first month, I mean, this is going to make a huge difference in the quality of life down here, and that's what it's all about. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. Thank you.